What's happening, people? I hope you're all well. So, 3 reasons why a woman might end it with you. The first reason, and before I get going, as a Brit, I'm going to talk about the weather a little bit. It is turning into autumn again. It's cloudy as it normally is in England, but it's getting a bit colder, getting a bit darker a bit earlier. So yeah, just Brit talking about the weather. But anyway, 3 reasons why a woman might leave you. The first reason is because she lost attraction for you. That for me is the biggest one. You know, that for me is the biggest one. I talk about that a lot in my videos. That if a woman loses attraction towards you, that for me is the biggest reason why a woman is going to leave you. That for me is the biggest reason why a woman is going to leave you. You know, if she loses attraction towards you, then it's pretty much a done deal. A woman will, typically speaking, put up with a lot of a man's shortfalls and shortcomings if she feels that electric and feels that spark, at least for some time. You know, I'm not going to say every woman's going to do that, but in a lot of cases, you know, you hear a woman saying that this man, you know, is not doing what he's supposed to be doing, but in not all, but many cases, the reason she's still with him and everyone's scratching their head, like, okay, she says he's not doing this, not doing that. I've met the guy and, you know, he barely seems interested or engaged in what's going on. And, we met up with him on a get together with couples and he was just on his phone the whole time. And, you know, her friends and many people are scratching their heads. The couples go home and say, why are they still together? Why hasn't she ended it with him? And the reason is, in many instances, she's just attracted to him. And, you know, there's a lot of biological reasons why a woman might still try for a long time, even though he's not doing what she thinks he should be doing. And that is an example of what can happen when a woman is attracted to you. But when a woman loses attraction towards you, and I always like to think of attraction on a scale of 1 to 10. When that attraction starts to go, you know, towards a 5 out of 10 or a 4 out of 10. It's not an exact science, by the way, but just try and log it in your mind. You know, what is a woman's attraction towards me out of 10? It kind of helps, but if attraction drops to like a 5 or a 4, that's when she may start to consider leaving you. You know, typically speaking, when you first meet a woman and everything is lovey-dovey and it's like the honeymoon phase of a relationship, that's when attraction tends to be like a 9 or a 10. But after that, typically speaking, you'll never really get that 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 attraction back in terms of how attracted she is towards you. And that's okay. That's nature and biology saying, okay, you've had the period where the hormones are all over the place. Now it's time to focus on gathering resources and building home and reproducing for the next generation. That's kind of what nature's trying to tell you there. You might get the 9 out of 10 and 10 out of 10 again in flashes, in like, you know, like anniversaries or birthdays and occasions. But in terms of like everyday 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, you won't get that after the honeymoon period phases out, essentially, in essence. So, but if attraction, you know, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 every day is very, very good. 7 out of 10 is standard, like above average standard. 6 out of 10 is like, okay, you know, we're in a relationship, it's not going to end, but I don't really want it to drop below that. 5 out of 10 is where it's like little problems start coming up. You know, when it was like honeymoon period and certain things she overlooked, now she's complaining about them. That's like 5 out of 10 attraction. Like, she's not going to leave you, but you know, this is where the little arguments start coming up. And 4 is like red zone, you're hitting the red zone. So when you're hitting the red zone in terms of she feels 4 out of 10 attraction towards you, you say the same thing and get a different response to when the attraction was higher. That's a reason why a woman's going to leave you. And the reason why she's not attracted to you anymore could be many reasons. You know, she met someone else, she's just not feeling it anymore. You've, and I'm going to talk about this in the next one, this leads on to the next point. Your value was lowered because you have become complacent. So now let me use that as a rope to lead into the next topic. So, you know, your value has dropped because you become complacent. This is another reason why women will leave a man. You know, when you are single or when you're trying to attract a woman, you almost become an exaggerated version of yourself when you're on these dates, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. You're going to put the exclamation mark on yourself when you're trying to get with a woman, the same way you would in a job interview. But when you get that job interview and you're that exclamation mark, you know, you're that exaggerated version of yourself and you get the job, on day 789, there's a chance you're not going to be the same person you were in the interview, in terms of, you have the job, you know that you're not in fear of losing it, you know that you could probably get away with being a bit lazy and nothing's really going to happen to you, you know what the minimum required is to not get management on your back. And, you know, I don't do this and I'm not suggesting you do this. I believe in always trying to be the best you can, but you know, human nature, a lot of people aren't going to do that. No disrespect to anyone, by the way. Life is life. Things are complicated. So sometimes if you've got many stresses in your life, you might just to not digress, but if you've got many stresses in your life, you might look at areas you can do the minimum. So there's always a reason for things, and I'm not having to go at anyone. But nonetheless, you were that exaggerated version of yourself. You went to the gym because I need to get some girls. So you hit the gym, you get real wedge. You focus on getting a promotion at work so you can buy a nice car. Then you land the girl, but then all of a sudden your drive, determination and desire to move up in the world goes down, because your biology is telling you, I'm already mating. Whether you're mating or not, when your brain sees, when your brain interprets that you've got a girlfriend, or your brain interprets that you have a mate in terms of your girlfriend, your drive can sometimes go down without you realizing it, because your brain thinks that you're reproducing in a way. So this occurs and your drive drops. Maybe you don't, maybe you notice it and maybe you don't. I've done it before. I've got with a woman and all of a sudden I'm getting a bit lazy. I'm getting out of bed a bit later. I'm not making as much moves in the world. It can creep up on you, but it's something to look out for. But then and you get away with it in the honeymoon period. In fact, you're going to do it in the honeymoon period. I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with it. Actually, to an extent, you have to, because you need to create. If you're a busy guy, you don't typically have time to date every day and do X, Y, and Z. But when you are in the honeymoon period, it's actually kind of important that you do that, because the bonding phase is actually very important. So your drive will drop, but then it gets to a point where it's like, okay, after the honeymoon phase, okay, Drivers dropped, cool. Now let's get down to business. Like, let's get that honeymoon phase is over, let's get down to business. But many men don't do that, and they stay in a complacent state. And this links into the point before. She starts to lose attraction, and yeah, then she leaves you. And then the last point I want to make is, you know, you were with the wrong woman to begin with, and as a result of that, you lose everything, and she leaves you because of that. You know, if you become really successful in life, you're going to have access to lots and lots of choice regarding who your female partner is going to be, and that's great. You know, that's great. I'm real, you know, I don't think any man having options is a bad thing. But in that same breath, you know, saturation depletes value. So the quality that you have in front of you, some of them are going to be great, some of them not so great. And, you know, sometimes things in life can be packaged well to look really pretty or really, you know, easy on the eye. But the depth, when you start digging, is hollow. There's not a lot of depth there. And so you get with a woman who looks really pretty and really amazing because you're successful and you have access to these women. You've never had access to these women before. These are the women that used to go to the club and think, okay, I'm not going to get with her. I'm not even going to bother trying. And all of a sudden, these women are looking at you because you're in the VIP booth. Yeah, I get it. I get it. But what you have to understand is, when, in a lot of instances, not all, but in a lot, if you get with these women who are accustomed to a certain lifestyle because you can now provide that lifestyle, if you, for whatever reason, are no longer able to provide that lifestyle, she might leave you. Not always, but she might. And that's a reason why women might leave a man. That's why I feel like it's a better scenario if you get with a woman before, in some instances it might be better to get with a woman before you become successful. It might be, because then the chances of her leaving you, if something goes wrong, and things in life do go wrong, the chances of her leaving you are significantly less, you know. But it doesn't always work like that, but it can. But yeah, maybe it's better to get with a woman who is with you before the fame, money, and all that. Because she, in essence, knew who you were before that. And that's why she got with you. She didn't get with you because you were rich and famous, because you weren't rich and famous. It's just something to think about. Anyway, those are the reasons. Let me know what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you get a notification when I make a new video. If you appreciate my work or want to leave a donation, there's a link for that in the description. With that, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one. And I need a bottle of water because sometimes my mouth gets a bit dry making these videos. Anyway, catch you on the next one.